What's up, y'all? Sparta here, and I want to do my review of the Sony Xperia XA. Now, I got this phone about 3 weeks ago, and I've been using it as my daily driver for about majority of those 3 weeks. I just stopped using it as my daily driver yesterday. So, and I went back to the V20. So, as far as this phone goes, I want to commend Sony for building a phone, for constructing a phone that's $200 but still feels premium. Still feels like you spent maybe $350, $400 on it. You know, like the good old Nexus days. Because you got your polycarbonate on the back, which is pretty Nokia-esque. You got your aluminum rails on the side with your camera shutter button and your camera activation button. You have your volume rocker, which I don't know if these two buttons are made out of aluminum or not. And you have your power button, which, sticks out, but it's whatever. Your top and bottom are plastic, but that's mainly because are polycarbonate as well, mainly because you need reception. You have your 3.5mm headphone jack with really no dedicated DAC or amp like the V20 or whatever, but honestly, it sounds okay. It's lesser than the Galaxy S7, but when you use Bluetooth headphones, that's probably what you may have to use if you want good audio with this phone. The speaker quality is so-so. It's okay. It gets good sometimes, but on a lot of other stuff, it's not very good. The screen, while being 720p and 5 inches, it's a really good display. You don't see pixels unless you literally put it at your damn face, which, why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. The screen is beautiful. It's an IPS LCD display, and it's an edge-to-edge display as well. You probably won't be able to see it really well in this video, but as you guys can see, there's no bezel right there. Aside from a small black line that you'll see if you have it super close to your face, but that's pretty much it. It has a MediaTek 6755 chipset. That's an octa-core chipset with 4 cores clocked at 2 gigahertz, 4 cores clocked at 1 gigahertz. It's not necessarily going to beat out your Galaxy S7 or your LG V20 or even your LG G5, but it's good enough for what it is. You have a 2,300 milliamp hour battery in here with a micro USB charging solution, not USB-C. Quick Charge 2.0, but keep in mind when you get this phone at a Best Buy or something, it won't come with a quick charger in the box, so you have to buy one either from Amazon, eBay, or direct from Sony. But if you have a quick charger already, you can use that. It charges the phone pretty fast. It gets 25, maybe 30% or 28% from 30 minutes of charging. So if that's good enough for you, go figure. But you have your 8 megapixel camera on the front, your 13 megapixel camera on the back, your LED flash, NFC on the back as well, your Xperia branding, your Sony branding on the front, your proximity sensor, and your LED notification light. It's very small and minor, but it's there, and it works well. The 13 megapixel camera works really well too for what it is. As I said, I'll do a more in-depth camera comparison between the V20, the S7, and this phone, since I took a lot of pictures with every single one of these phones. So I'll just do that rather than, putting them in each respective video. Just make a separate video. And as far as, the good old app test, you open one, you close it, it'll close. Open two, you close it, it'll close. Open three, it won't open, like it does. It won't do it how my V20 does it, how once you press it, it'll, just leave the app. It'll take a minute sometimes, or it just won't load the app at all. But I'm going to do the quick, screen test. You know what I mean? The typical one that I normally do, where I test the frame rate on the screen, not the battery. But speaking of the battery life has been pretty good on this phone so far. I wish I can get it so that dev options. Whites aren't necessarily white all the time, though. Sometimes they're kind of like yellowish, creamish, kind of, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But as you can see while I'm scrolling like this on here, the frame rate stays consistent and smooth. But when I go into the app drawer, it'll take a minute to go back to a stable frame rate. Sometimes it'll jump, but it won't always jump. Watching videos on here is actually really good too. It's just the speaker that's the problem, because it's not quality. It's not as good as, the $700-800 phones that I have. But, and my fucking Xperia, NVIDIA Shield tablet K1. It's not as good as that. But honestly, none of my phones aren't really either, but it's whatever. What else to talk about? Gaming, you guys seen with my versus video compared to this beauty of a phone right here that gets super hot, which is why I'm not recording with it right now. And I'm mainly recording this video right now so I can factory reset this phone so I can get more storage out of it. But as far as this phone goes, it's really nice, It's not gonna be your it's not gonna be this phone. It's not gonna be the V20. Don't expect it to be that. I'm making this video shorter overall because I've already discussed a lot of these points in my versus video with the S7, and soon, as you guys will see, with my V20 comparison. But the screen gets really bright. The battery life is really good for a 2,300 milliamp hour battery. It's really good. Sony optimized this phone well. You'll get updates really fast too. Don't expect to get like the worst support ever, because you won't. You'll get pretty good support. It's not Samsung where they wait until like 2 months after their next phone to do it, except for this year. But yeah, as far as the Sony Xperia XA goes, I'll give it maybe an 8. But this gets a 8.5 to a 9. And the V20, which I'm using to record this, gets a 9.5. I'm never going to give something a 10 because nothing is perfect. But yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the Sony Xperia XA. A good mid-range budget phone. For $200, you get a nice feeling phone in the hand, a nice compact feel in the hand. And coming from a V20 that I use constantly, it's kind of hard to get used to, typing with 2 hands on a smaller display. It's even like that with my S7, but it's whatever. It feels nice to use it. Regardless, it doesn't feel like shit. Like a lot of the times when I use the S7, it feels like it doesn't feel good because it lags a lot still. Well, let's hope Samsung fixes that with their Samsung experience. Trying to get away from TouchWiz, I see. Yeah, for $200, this is, I wouldn't necessarily call it a steal, but it's good nonetheless. It's really good for what they're asking for. So this has been Sparta. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one. And I will be posting my versus review between the V20 and the XA, as well as my versus video between the S7 and the V20. And tomorrow I'm getting my NVIDIA Shield controller, and I will be posting this review today as well. And I think I'm going to do that right after I'm done with it. But, you know, as I said, this has been Sparta. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.